less than a yard away. Adam Gase specializes in kicking the field goal from here. But in this case, they give it to Frank Gore, who punches it in, and the Jets, Dan, are way ahead.
All of a sudden, I'm sitting there going, there's no way that the...
Holding. They call holding. They're bringing it back. The Rams would have to settle for wind up holding on to win their first game. They're in victory formation. 358 days between wins. And the Jets wind up beating the Rams 23-20, and my phone blew up, and not in a good way, I'll tell you that. And here's why. Because the Jaguars now are guaranteed they won't play anybody the last 2 weeks. And they now have a 74% chance of getting the first pick in the draft. The Jets wind up seeing the one thing they had to look forward to fall completely by the wayside. So, who do we start with here? Rex, I'll start with you. What do we say about that game?
I mean, it is the worst win ever. It really is. Because, look, people don't realize it. You have a generational talent that you just passed on. Yeah. Now, I get it. For the players, hey, congratulations, you got to win. Nobody has ever been a part of an 0-16 team. I mean, it just doesn't happen.
Actually,
right, Dan?
Dan, does that ever happen?
Why? Oh, I'm sorry. Why? I'm sorry, buddy. I forgot you were on that team. I'm sorry. But really, but you're happy that for those kids, they win a game. But and this, look, I'm a huge Jet fan, as you know. But this, as soon as they won, I'm like, the difference between Trevor Lawrence and anybody else in this draft is huge. But this is a one in every, 10 years a guy like this comes out, and you're going to get him, and you're going to sell out your stadium, and you're going to sell out the jerseys going crazy because you got a spectacular player. And you just blew it because you won a game. Now, and how the hell, if you beat the Rams?
Yes.
Rams, how the hell do you live this down?
Let's talk about that for a second, Ryan, if we can, because I've been picking the Rams the last 2 weeks on the radio to go to the Super Bowl. I take back every word I said about them, and it starts with the quarterback, RC, doesn't it? That was a horrendous performance.
We just have to accept it, man. He's just a guy. And he's not the dude that we saw in Hard Knocks his first year with Jeff Fisher. He's also not the dude that led the Rams to the Super Bowl going 13-3 and beating the New Orleans Saints in the NFC Championship. He can't do it by himself. Like, Jared Goff doesn't uplift the team. Jared Goff can't put a team on his back and carry it. And so now you have this identity crisis because you've turned to a defensive team. You've turned into a team that has to run the ball first in order for your quarterback to be successful. But when you draft a guy number 1 overall, when you give him $110 million guaranteed, he's supposed to be able to make plays to win football games. And yesterday, against the worst team in the world, I'm talking about high school, college, junior high, little league, all that. The worst team in the entire world with a coach who has now ruined the franchise, ruined the young quarterback,
again,
and also ruined your future by winning a game. You couldn't beat that team. Right? And so when you look at the Rams and you want to believe in them because they have this great coach and generational talents on defense and Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, you realize they don't have the guy at quarterback and they don't have the guy going forward for the future. And so when you watch that game, you can't help but be frustrated. You can't help but be upset. And I, like you, Greeny, take back everything good that I've said about him because clearly I'm hoping against hope that Jared Goff is a guy that I don't believe he is. And he's just not that dude.
They have so many weapons. Kupp and Woods and Higbee and Everett. And if they find running backs all over the place with, and now it's Cam Akers and the defense, they have one star after another. Dan, take either side of it. What's a quick final thought on this one from you?
Yeah, right now, if you're the Jets, the thought process goes to the future and how drastically different it is right now. This was the best job in the offseason, maybe outside of the Chargers. Now it's like, it's not nearly as good because you're not getting that generational freak at quarterback. I'll say this. Now you're the number 2 pick. Okay, so the first thing is you're keeping Sam Darnold if you're gonna keep the number 2 pick. Then you're gonna go hire a guy like Brian Daboll to revamp your organization and your football team offensively. You're gonna do 2 things with the second pick of the draft. You're either gonna draft Jamar Chase out of LSU or Devontae Smith out of Alabama,
Louisiana,
or you're gonna trade that draft pick for a bunch of picks.
Yeah, I think that's
TV in a little while. But the first half was Bruce Arians' offense. And the second half was Tom Brady's offense. Because in the first half, they go in there with their plan, and it stinks. And then when they're way behind, and it's like, Tom, just go out there and find the open guy and make stuff happen, and all of a sudden they look a lot better. And so when Bruce Arians says, if we can do it for 30 minutes, why can't we do it for 60? He really needs to ask himself that question. He seems to know less about his own team based upon the questions he tends to ask in press conferences. He asks more questions in press conferences than the reporters. The reality of it is that when everything was done, when they were down, and they just Brady just go out there and find a way to win us the game. He threw for 400 yards. So that to me, I think, is the answer to the question. But are they the team that you trust? Absolutely not. I can't believe I'm saying this, but right now, based upon the path, I think the team that if I had to pick one in the NFC, I would pick Green Bay, which I have been their biggest critic all along, and I still can't believe that they drafted a scout team quarterback with their first pick last year. But at this point, considering it's going to be -10 at Lambeau Field in January, and Aaron Rodgers seems to love that, who do you see going in there and beating them? I think right now, if I had to bet on the NFC team in the Super Bowl, I think I would bet on the Packers.
And they can solidify themselves. They got the Titans, who have a terrible defense on Sunday Night Football. I know Rodgers wasn't happy with their work on Saturday, but if they can click the way they're used to clicking, you get that putrid defense. Then you get the Bears to close out the season on January 3rd. You're already in pole position for the top spot. Home field doesn't have anything to do with fans, but to your point, do you want to go to Green Bay? Do you want to go to Orchard Park if you're Sean McVay or if you're Tom Brady and you're a warm weather team? It's fascinating to think about. Mike Greenberg giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. We'll see you on TV with RC and the gang in 31 minutes. Really appreciate it, Mike.
My pleasure. I like it in here. This is my first time on. Every time I've been with you guys, I've been on our set across the hall. It's very nice in here. I like what you've done with the place.
Appreciate it. And one more note with Mike, beginning Tuesday, January 5th, Mike begins his new show, Greeny, immediately following our show on ESPN Radio. Greeny taking you inside the stories of the day as only he can, the A-list newsmakers that you'd expect Mike to get, and he'll interact with you every single weekday. So from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, right into Greeny, weekday mornings right here on ESPN Radio when the calendar turns on January 5th.
I like that. You did it just the way I wrote it. That's very good.
I did it verbatim. I'm gonna modify the words here and say we'll go Chiefs Saints discussion after this Sports Center update. Thanks, Mike.
You got it.
You'll see Mike on Get Up at 8 a.m. Eastern. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Notre Dame are the top 4 teams in the CFP. I know Greeny and the gang, at least some of his cohorts, disagree with that. They're up for Texas A&M. You can get their rationale at 8 a.m. Eastern, but it's Alabama and Notre Dame in the Rose Bowl game presented by Capital One in Arlington, not in Pasadena, in Arlington. California said no fans at the game, Rose Bowl, and teams wanted friends and family, so it's moved to Arlington. Remember, Notre Dame's Brian Kelly said they would opt out of the playoff and possibly not play if they couldn't have friends or family. They won't have to worry about it. They're going to the Lone Star State. Clemson, Ohio State in the nightcap. You know their history in the college football playoff. History-making win for Northwestern in hoops over Michigan State, 79-65 yesterday. Michigan State was number 4 in the country. It's just been a topsy-turvy season in college basketball. Over the weekend, Kentucky lost its 5th straight. They're off to their worst start in 93 years. And speaking of worst start for the Jets, it's over. They toppled the Rams 23-20. They were a 17-point underdog, tying the second largest upset win for the franchise in the Super Bowl era, only behind their Super Bowl win with Joe Willie Namath. And SportsCenter brought to you by Goodyear. Whether you're on the field or on the edge of your seat, Goodyear wants you to embrace the unexpected. Every upset, touchdown, fourth quarter comeback, let it move you. No matter what the season throws your way, Goodyear here to help drive you forward. Goodyear, more driven.
The marquee matchup of the day.
Sprint option action. Mahomes keeps it. Back to Bell at the right sideline. Touchdown! Kansas City!
Pat Mahomes is going to be on the flight back to Kansas City. He's going to be on ice because he was hit often.
You know, so much of the talk in this game was Breeze coming back and didn't look good early.
I think it's clearly an issue.
Let's talk more quarterbacks. Let's talk teams that have postseason hopes. We spent a ton of time with Greeny talking about Jacksonville and the Jets. Let's ramp up the conversation a little bit. ESPN football analyst Dan Orlovsky joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Pennzoil synthetic motor oil is made from natural gas, gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof's in the Pennzoil based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W.